Hello and welcome to 60 Seconds with Sergio. I am your host, Sergio Cabanas, attorney at law here in Florida. Thank you for joining me today. Today's question is, Sergio, I'm married to a very abusive spouse who is very physically and mentally abusive. And I'm really scared. I'm worried because I'm also financially dependent on this spouse. But I want to get a divorce. What should I do? Well, first of all, if you find yourself in a situation where you're being seriously mentally or physically abused, please don't hesitate to contact the police or the proper authorities, and also consider consulting with an attorney as soon as possible. You need help, you should get it as soon as possible for your own safety and protection, or as applicable for the safety and protection of other family members, including your children. Now, let's talk about the divorce. If it's at all possible, try to get a complete inventory of all the assets, and to the extent possible, try to get copies of any financial records, such as bank accounts, tax returns, etc. Also, even before the divorce is filed, to the extent you have access to any credit cards or any funds or bank accounts, please remember you are a spouse with marital rights to these assets. You're perfectly within your rights to use these funds, just like your spouse is. So obviously, depending on the circumstances, you have the right to withdraw funds or use credit to the extent you need this support, including the payment of your own attorney's fees. Now let's talk about the divorce action itself. When a divorce action is filed, we often obtain what's called a status quo order. That is, the court requires that all of the financial support that existed prior to the filing of the divorce stays in effect. So if your spouse was paying for household expenses, food, he or she is required to maintain those expenses until a judge decides otherwise. Also, keep in mind that the divorce process involves what's called discovery or financial disclosures. That means that both spouses are required to reveal all of the assets, all of the income, and all of the debts, all of the financial information that they have access to, and that must be disclosed by law. Otherwise, there's serious consequences if they're not disclosed. Also keep in mind that if you're the financially dependent spouse, you have rights to request the court to award you with additional economic support during dependency of your divorce case, in addition to forcing your spouse to pay your attorney's fees and costs. The bottom line is that you have a lot of legal rights that you may not be aware of, even though you are the non-pecunious spouse, that is, the financially dependent spouse who relies on your spouse for financial support. And one final point, as far as being mentally and physically abused. The law does provide other remedies that you might be entitled to depending on the circumstances. Again, consult with an attorney who can review these remedies, including the possibility of getting a restraining order against the abusive spouse in order to force him out of the house depending on the circumstances, and to have the court order continually protect you to have no contact from your spouse during the divorce process until further ordered by the court. Also keep in mind that there are many other resources available to you as an abused spouse. Please, the bottom line is reach out for help. Don't suffer quietly. You must get help as soon as possible. So the bottom line of this message, other than getting help if you need it as soon as possible, is the fact that you can still move forward with a divorce even though you're the financially dependent spouse. Thank you again for joining me, and as always, stay informed so you can stay strong.